Hey, what's up traders? My name is Matthew. I've been trading for about 7 years, and in that time I have used TradingView pretty much every day of my life. And so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys everything you need to know about the TradingView platform and how to navigate its interface. Let's get started. All right, so first of all, up here, we have our profile menu / TradingView general settings. So if you come down to your profile, here is where you can see your account and billing and the partner program. So the partner program is an affiliate program where you can get paid for referring other traders to TradingView. I'm not gonna lie, that's a big part of why I do this particular video every few years. So if you find this video helpful, you can find my link below in the video description if you want to support the channel. So I won't click on any of these links because they'll take me off the charts here. The Help Center, this is where you will find a lot of information about how TradingView works. So if something isn't covered in this video or you don't understand something that I go over, this is the first place you should look for information. It's very extensive. Now, notifications relate to your TradingView profile. These aren't related to your trading, and they're just like the social aspects of TradingView, which we'll go over later in the video. Then we have their What's New change log that'll explain the latest changes or new features. We have dark mode. We have the drawings panel, which is this panel on the left. You can turn that on or off. You can change your language. Then you have your keyboard shortcuts. This is quite useful. I have not memorized the vast majority of these shortcuts. And then finally, we have the desktop app, which I don't use very often, but it has come a long way since it was initially released. If you use TradingView a lot and you don't want to have it as a tab in your browser, I recommend getting the standalone app. Everything in the app is basically identical to what I'll show you today. So if you want to use the app, you can still follow along with today's guide. Next, we have our symbol list. So if you click on this search little icon here, we can type in the various markets that we want to analyze. So we have every market you could ever think of is listed on TradingView, from currencies to stocks to cryptocurrency, commodities, everything. We have indices, bonds, even economic data. So you can actually chart things like the unemployment rate. Now it says here that the interval for unemployment is a monthly only data set. But here we go. Let's see how many of you know what this represents. Pop quiz. You can leave a comment below if you know what caused this Christmas tree to appear on the unemployment rate chart. Now the symbol search has a few options. We can actually do things like perform basic arithmetic between two markets. So we could divide the euro-dollar rate divided by unemployment rate and hit enter. And now we're charting the euro-dollar's relationship to the American unemployment rate. Probably useless information to know, but it's pretty cool that we can do that with TradingView. That's a more advanced application of TradingView. Obviously, if you're a beginner to TradingView, I wouldn't mess around with this stuff, but it's nice to know we have this functionality. It's pretty unique to TradingView. I don't know of any other charting platforms that allow this sort of thing, at least not this easily. You can load up the chart within a minute and have pretty wacky chart information from all kinds of sources, price sources. So that's a really cool thing about TradingView. It's very robust. It's very extensive. So you can search for any market here. For example, if I wanted to see, let's search for Tesla stock. You can just type in the company name, and here is the ticker. There are multiple sources for this particular stock. So make sure you click the correct exchange when you are looking for a particular market in this list. So let's go to a normal chart here. Let's go to euro dollar. And this next button here will compare this symbol to another symbol. So let's add the Aussie dollar to this chart. Now we are comparing the two price sources on the same chart. Again, this is a more advanced concept that TradingView offers. I wouldn't recommend playing around with this until you're very experienced with TradingView and trading. But that button can come in handy when you're analyzing markets against each other, especially when you're analyzing things like correlation, seeing how a market behaves in conjunction with another market or when compared to another market. Moving on, we have our time intervals. So these are pretty self-explanatory. If you don't know what a time frame is or a candlestick chart is, I'd recommend researching that. But basically, these just show the open, high, low, and close of this time interval. So right now we're on a monthly chart. So each bar here is representing how price unfolded within that month. Green bars mean it closed higher than it opened. Red bars mean it closed lower than it opened. And there are all kinds of time intervals you can choose from here. We even have range bar charts, which I, again, don't recommend you try until you're very experienced with trading. But we have a lot of options here. And depending on your trading plan, you can even go all the way down to second charts. So I can see what euro dollar is doing second to second if I want to. I wouldn't recommend trading this time frame, but you can if you want to. You can even type in your own time interval. So if I wanted to see the 33-minute chart for whatever reason, I can just type in 33, hit enter, and now every bar on my chart is representing 33 minutes. So yeah, another very cool feature of TradingView that most platforms do not offer is custom time sessions. Moving on, we have our candle type. So if you're more familiar with bar charts, you might want to set this to bars. But we have a whole bunch of other options here. We can use a line chart. There's a high-low close area. So remember I mentioned that candles have a high, an open, a low, and a close. This shows the high, the low, and the close as an area. So there's quite a few exotic options here. We even have Japanese candlesticks. So Heikin Ashi is what is referred to as a synthetic bar chart. So this is showing us synthetic price action based on averages. So these are no longer representing open, high, low, and close, but are representing averages of price action. I'm not going to go into the math behind these candles. That's outside the scope of today's video. The whole point of today's video is to introduce you to these settings, and let's leave it on candles for now because that's the easiest chart to read as a beginner, or bar charts if you're more familiar with that, but I'll leave mine as candles. Next up, we have indicators. So this is the main advantage of TradingView. TradingView has access to thousands and thousands of indicators. Some of them are pretty useless, so I wouldn't recommend adding indicators just because you can. Less indicators is better when it comes to trading. I think that's an objective truth. If you can develop a profitable trading system with as few indicators as possible, that's a good thing. Do not add indicators to your chart just because you can. In the beginning, obviously, you want to experiment, you want to learn, so you should do that. But when it comes to trading, less is more. The more noise you add to your chart, the harder it is to read. That's just an objective truth when it comes to analyzing statistics and data. So unless you really know what you're doing and you have a very good reason for adding an indicator to your chart, don't do it. I've seen some screenshots of people's charts where they have like, let's just add a whole bunch of shit onto my chart right now. And you can see how very quickly this can become quite unreadable. Now, this looks a bit silly, but you'd be surprised. I get screenshots from traders more often than I wish I did, where their charts look like this and it's like a children's drawing. Do not do this. If your chart looks like this, do yourself a favor, right click the chart and click remove indicators and start again using one or two at a time. You'll thank me for it later if you're a new trader. Now, if you're looking for a particular indicator, you can type in the indicator name here. So for example, a common indicator is the RSI. We can type in RSI. Here is relative strength index. I have favorited it using this little star icon, so it shows up very quickly when I search for it. Click on that, and we've added that to our chart. Very simple. Just quickly, you can also adjust the settings for this indicator. If you come down with your mouse over the name of the indicator, there are a few buttons here. If I have multiple indicators on my chart, let's add another indicator. Let's add the MACD. That's another commonly used indicator. If I hover over the name of this indicator, we have an eye icon, so I can hide these if I want to, or I can open up the settings menu by clicking on this little cog, and now we can adjust parameters for the indicator. We can even adjust the style, so we can change certain colors of things. TradingView is a very visual-based charting platform, and it has a plethora of visual options for all of its scripts. You can change the color of your chart, the background color. You can change the candle colors. You can change indicator colors. You can change the color of basically anything, which means you can get carried away with that. But it's a good feature to have because it really allows you to customize your charts and make your chart work for you. Visibility, we can even turn off this indicator on certain time frames. So if I turn off minutes, this will no longer display between 1 minute and 59-minute time frames. I personally don't use this at all, but there are reasons you would. If you're analyzing multiple time frames, there might be certain indicators that you don't care to analyze on certain time frames. So you might want to hide them when you're cycling through your different intervals. So that's indicator settings. We can also open the source code. Now, my main sort of vocation on YouTube is teaching PineScript. I also teach other charting platforms like Realtest, and I also teach just general trading techniques and things I've learned that have helped my trading in the past 6 or 7 years of trading. So if you want to learn PineScript, there is tons of content on my channel you can go and check out, or you can check out our website at pinescriptmastery.com. I have a free basics course there that goes for over 3 hours and will introduce you to the basics of PineScript. But that's outside the scope of today's video, so we're not going to click on this button just yet. I'll click on it and show you what the code looks like. It's a bit overwhelming at first, but I do have courses explaining exactly what all this means and how to write your own scripts to analyze price your own way. So make sure to check that out if you are interested. You can also click this button to remove an indicator. And then finally, we have these little ellipses here. This allows you to do things like move. I can merge these two indicators into the same indicator. I can move the MACD above onto price. So now we have it overlaying over price. I can move it to a new pane below, and now we have the MACD above the RSI. So I won't go over all of these settings because they're pretty self-explanatory. Just two things I will go over. The first one is adding alerts. So you can add alerts to this indicator. And here are the list of options. So if the MACD goes from falling to rising, we can generate an alert that will trigger on our chart or our phone, depending on what settings you select here. You can be notified in the phone app. So you can download the mobile app and this notification will appear on your phone. Or you can show a pop-up on your chart or send an email to yourself. You can even automate your trading using webhooks. That's something I cover on my channel, how to use Pine Connector to automate Forex trading strategies through TradingView alerts. You can play sounds when the alerts fire. This is fantastic for day traders, people who need to be alerted while they're sitting at their computer. You can click play sound and your chart will beep when a alert is fired. You can also set up alerts by clicking on this button up here, alerts, and you can select the indicator or the price chart that you want to trigger alerts on. You can select your condition. So if you were to select greater than 0, then this alert would fire every time because price will always, hopefully, be greater than 0. You can put in an alert name and a message here, and you can even use placeholders to replace these placeholders with chart information. So we could replace this value with close, and this would then be replaced with the closing price of whatever is added to our chart. Now, the final thing I want to mention with indicators is that you can also add indicators on indicators. So this gets a bit Inception-like. We could add an RSI to the MACD, for example. And now we have an RSI plotting based on the numbers generated by the MACD. So again, that's an advanced concept that we won't go into any further in this video. But for those of you who are experienced traders, you can add indicators on indicators. There are a ton of community scripts that you can choose from when adding indicators to your chart. I won't go into these in today's video. I'll leave these for you to play around with in your own time. There are tons and tons and tons and tons of scripts to choose from. Again, as I mentioned earlier, some of them are terrible, some of them are trash, and some of them are fantastic. So you won't really know what's what until you become more experienced as a trader. But yeah, there are a lot of options here, which is one of the strengths of TradingView. It can also be one of the traps for new traders, so be careful with what indicators you add to your chart, as mentioned. Moving on, we have our indicator templates. This isn't something I use personally, but depending on how you've set up your indicators, you can save a template and load it onto your chart very quickly and easily using this button here. I already went over alerts. The next feature, really valuable feature that TradingView offers, is the bar replay feature. So if I click on this and then I select any bar on my chart, all of the information to the right is now hidden, and we can simulate price unfolding using these this interface down below here. So if I change the speed to 1 update per second and click play, we can now watch price unfold 1 bar at a time. This is fantastic for discretionary traders or backtesters, people who want to practice and simulate what their system is like. So for example, here we have a key high. If I press Alt on on a Windows computer or Command on a Mac and hit H, that'll put a horizontal line on this high here. So let's simulate what it might be like to trade a false breakout. Here we've had price break out of this high and then close dramatically back below this high. So we could use our short tool. I'll come to this bar after we've finished with the top bar here. But if I select short and place it right here at the close of this bar, put my stop loss above the high. Let's put our take profit down at the lows here. Now I can simulate price action unfolding and see what would have happened had I taken this trade as it is. This is a great way to practice trading, to learn how to read price, or to backtest a systematic trading system. So if you're a systematic trader, a rules-based trader, you come up with a trading plan with your rules and you can simulate it on historical data to make sure that it is profitable. I have some videos on my channel about backtesting and strategy development, so go and check that out if you're new to trading. So now let's click sell. I've just placed a sell order, and now I can hover my mouse over this sell order. I can drag my stop loss up to where I put the top of this stop loss. I can take my take profit all the way down here. And now we're simulating a trade using TradingView's inbuilt simulation, demo trading simulation. This is pretend money. Obviously, we can't trade price that's already unfolded. That'd be nice, but we can simulate price action. So here I have about a $4 stop loss and a $7 take profit. I can hit play and we can see how price unfolded after placing this trade. And we can click this button to jump forward if we want to speed things up a bit, or we can adjust our speed here. I can say, let's go 3x. So now we're unfolding 3 times as fast, 3 updates per second. There we go. Profitable simulated trade. You get the idea. So bar replay tool is very, very useful for beginner traders. I recommend using it if you're new to trading. It's a great way to practice. These buttons here are your undo and redo buttons. So if I draw something here, I can click undo and I can click redo to bring it back. Next up on our top bar, we have our chart layouts, and you can see there are a lot to choose from. Now, depending on your TradingView plan, you may or may not have access to the vast majority of these. I'm on the highest pro plan, so I have access to everything TradingView has to offer, including a whole bunch of chart layouts. Now, most of these are obscure and exotic, and you wouldn't really use them most of the time. Some of the most valuable ones are these ones here, where you can analyze 2 time frames side by side. So here I have the daily chart. Let's go down on the 15-minute chart. Now we have the 15-minute chart and the daily chart of the same market on the one screen. So where price is down here on this daily chart is where it is right now on this 15-minute chart. This is a great tool for day traders, swing traders, traders who analyze a higher time frame to inform their lower time frame trading decisions. Very, very valuable tool. We also have a ton of exotic options here. So if I click on this 8 grid here, now we have 8 different markets. They're all the same market, but we could change these if we wanted to. We could have 8 different markets loaded onto the one monitor. This is most useful for having a screen in your office that analyzes the markets you like to trade. Maybe you have a watch list of 8 different markets that you like to trade. Maybe the 8 various currencies. You could have a big TV in your office or a big screen in your office. Can you really call yourself a trader unless you have a monitor in your office dedicated for trading charts? I'm joking, you can. But many traders do have that. You'll notice on YouTube and stuff like that. I did for a long time. I don't really anymore because I trade end of day data now, so I don't really need it. But back when I was doing a lot of intraday trading, I had monitors all over my house with this sort of layout on it, and I could, at a glance, see what each market's up to. That's the main use case of these different layouts, but the split screen one is great for day traders and multi-market, multi-time frame analysis. And then down here, you can sync various things in your layout. So if I click symbol, that will sync the symbols. So if I change my symbol here to CAD yen, both markets will change at the same time, but we keep our time frame. But we could sync the interval, and now both markets are on the same interval. You wouldn't have these two turned on at the same time most of the time because it defeats the purpose. If you have both charts showing the same thing, what's the point? But you might want the same interval, but different markets, different symbols, or the same symbol, different time frames or intervals. That's how you sync them here. You can also sync the crosshair, so you can see If I change this chart to the daily chart and I hover my mouse over yesterday's price, you can see I'm trying to use my left hand to show you guys, but you can't see that, obviously. So I'll just have to use the mouse. If you look up here, when I hover my mouse over this yesterday's bar, you can see that my crosshair is synced across to the lower time frame. And that's it. The same with time, same with date range. This is just ways to sync all of your charts together. Now I'll go back to a single chart for the rest of the video. Over here we have our chart layout options. So here you can see I have a few chart options. If I click trading, for example, that will take me to my trading template. You can see I have a couple of indicators here. I have a 50 period moving average and a RSI and some volume and ATR indicator. Those are the main indicators I use to trade or analyze price action. But let's go back to TradingView guide. I haven't made any changes, so I don't need to save anything. So here are a few options. You can share your chart to other people. So you can share your link to friends or other traders. Maybe you have a trading mentor that you want to show information to. You can share your chart to that person by turning this on and sharing the link. So click copy link, send that to someone, and they can see your chart. They can see a snapshot, a mirror image of what's on your chart. Auto save, I'd recommend leaving on unless you have a reason to turn it off. This will just automatically save any changes you make to this template every few seconds or so. You can rename the template. You can make a copy. You can also export your chart data to Excel. So if I click this button, I'll get a spreadsheet file saved to my desktop computer, which I can then import into other software, or I can perform analysis on that data or data for you Americans out there. I'm not going to do that today because that's obviously outside the scope of the video, and this video will already be long enough as it is. But for those of you who are advanced traders or down the road when you become an advanced trader, this option is here for you guys. Here you can create a new layout. Here you can load a layout. If you have a lot of layouts, you might need to click this to find them. I only have 4, so all of mine show up here. Next, we have quick search. I don't know what this does. I've never used it before, to be honest. So this searches for drawings, functions, and settings. Okay, so we're searching for drawings here. I've personally never used this feature before, to be honest. This is the first time I've even clicked on it. So I'm not really sure how useful it is. I have used TradingView for about 7 years now, so I just know where everything is. I don't really need this tool, but I guess it would be helpful if you're looking for a particular thing that's buried within one of these drop-down lists. There are a ton of drawing tools with TradingView. I use a fraction of them. I use maybe a dozen at most. And most of those are line tools, just simple drawing tools. But if you're looking for a tool that you can't find, for example, if you're looking for line tools, you can type up in here, line, and here we go. Next, we have this cog wheel here, which is for our chart settings. So this is where we can change our candlestick style. So we can change the color of our candles. So the left color is bullish candles, the right color is bearish candles. So we can make our chart look very wacky if we want to. So red and green is not your thing. There are some trading psychologists out there who recommend changing these colors to more neutral colors because red usually means bad, green usually means good. In trading, that's a bad way to think because you can obviously make money in both directions. So perhaps you might want to change this to black and white. You can change all of this to black and white. It's going to look a bit dodgy on a dark background, but you get the idea. Maybe we change these to blue. So now we have blue and white candles, a lot more neutral colors. We have our price line here. So if I turn that on or off, that's this line down here. Might be a bit hard to see, but that's just tracking the current closing price. That's useful for when you're, maybe you're looking a bit further back and you want to see where price is currently. You can also display the previous day's close. So in this case, that's very close to each other. On this Forex market, the day only opened a few hours ago for me. So these lines are very close to each other. But this would be useful, especially on things like stock markets where you want to see how price is interacting with yesterday's close. And you can plot the high and low of price action on your chart. And the bid-ask spread, which is useful for day traders. It can show you at a glance how bad the spread is. The spread is just the difference between where price currently is and where your order would be filled if you were to buy or sell. On lower time frames, this gets much worse. So if we go down to a 1 minute time frame, you can see that the spread is quite large, comparatively speaking to recent price action. We have about an 8.8 pip spread on Oanda or Oanda. That's the broker I'm currently on. If we go to a different broker, the spread will be different. Pepperstone have much tighter spreads. So tight, in fact, that they're not even showing on my chart right now. So whatever. You get the idea. So there are two ways to get to this setting. You can click on this button up here, or you can right click your chart and come down to settings. Let's turn that off. We have precision, which is the precision of your price quote. I recommend leaving this on default. And we have your time zone. This is an important setting for those of you who trade in time zones different to your exchange. I've set this to my time zone here in Brisbane, Australia, but you might want to change this to your time zone so that when you hover your mouse over a candle, it shows the current time of day instead of the time of day related to where the market is trading. Now let's just quickly go through these other options here. We have status line, that is up here on the top left of your chart. I can turn the logo on or off, the title on or off, open, high, low, and close on or off. The market status, whether it's open or not, that's usually easy to tell just by if price is moving, so I tend to leave that off. Bar change values, so it shows you the change between the last closing price. We can have volume plotting up here instead of into its own indicator box, and last day change values. Then we have scales. I won't go over all of these. You can play around these in your own time. I personally never touch these settings. I've never had any reason to, but there are a ton of different label settings, price scale settings, and time scale settings. If I went into every setting in detail in this video, it would be 10 hours long. So let's just quickly skip through all of these. Again, I don't touch any of these in my own trading, or at least not very often. So canvas is actually kind of useful. We can actually change the color of our canvas here. So the background. So for example, I could change my background to solid and I could change it to orange if I wanted to. I don't recommend that color. Or I could change it to solid black, which actually looks pretty cool on my monitor right now. But yeah, you have a lot of settings here. Grid lines you can turn on or off based on the transparency here. So if I wanted my grid lines to be very pronounced, I could do that. So a lot of options here to work with. I'll leave these for you to play around with, but now you know where to find them. Trading, we have our buy sell buttons. So if I was logged into my broker, I could click these buttons here to initiate a buy or sell order. I'm not sure what instant orders placement does. You'd have to be logged into your broker to test this, but I imagine that it just doesn't show a confirm option when you're clicking buy or sell on those buttons. You can turn on sounds. You can turn on or off your positions on the actual chart. So when you've got an order filled on your chart, you can turn the display of your open positions on or off, or you can turn your profit and loss on or off. You can change the setting here to percentage. Beginner traders, I would recommend keeping this as percentage so that you don't get your emotions wrapped up in a trade. When I first began trading, turning off my P&L altogether really helped with my trading psychology. It helped me be a better trader and focus on process over outcome. But changing this to percentage also helps because you're not looking at the dollar amount, you're looking at the percentage of your account balance. And then we have orders. I believe this shows order execution, so it will show a label on the chart where you bought and sold. And there's a whole bunch of options here that I'll leave for you guys to play around with. I recommend logging into a demo trading account before you start playing with these settings. Just open a demo trade, a buy or sell trade, and start playing with these settings, see what they do on your chart, because each broker is probably going to have a different effect with some of these settings. Next up, we have events. So this will show economic events, for example. If I turn that on and we go to Aussie dollar, I believe there's an RBA decision coming out later today, and that should show up. Here it is. Click on that RBA interest rate decision. So you can see, let me change my template settings back to defaults so that the colors aren't so wacky. So down here you can see we have economic events displaying as a calendar entry. So at 1:30 p.m. my time, there will be a Australian interest rate decision from the central bank here in Australia. So that's obviously important information to know. If we go down to a 50-minute time frame, you can see if I hold Alt and hit V, I can now mark that when price gets to this line, I better be careful with any open positions. I better not open any trades close to this line because there will be a major economic decision happening there. I don't think the market will be surprised when the central bank keeps rates as they are. So this will probably be a non-event. for today's announcement. But sometimes these events can be major. They can really have a major impact on price. So it's important to be aware of them. And I would recommend leaving that on unless you have a good reason to turn it off. You can even turn on this line. So you can see a vertical line there. Something I haven't gone over is you can change the thickness and the color of these lines by clicking on these buttons, and the settings show up down here. So now I can see a big thick green line telling me that at this time of day there will be a major news announcement, and I didn't have to place that with my drawing tools. That's all handled by this setting here. Let's turn that off. I don't know what latest news in mines is. That's this purple line here. Oh, this is just economic news. I ignore this entirely, and I would recommend you turn this off because no one knows what the market's going to do next any better than you do. Well, some might know better than you do if they've studied economics their entire life, but markets are random and unpredictable. Don't listen to especially not the news. Don't listen to economic news because journalists certainly don't know any more than you do about markets. So ignore these altogether would be my advice. That's what I've done the past 7 years, and it's served me very well. I'm doing just fine with my trading without reading any economic news. Almost ever. I read Bloomberg articles from time to time to stay in the loop of what's going on with the global economics, but I don't use that information to inform my trading. I'm a purely technical trader, rules-based systematic technical trader, and I do just fine without following the news. Here you can display your alert lines. I don't have any alerts on my chart, so nothing is displaying, but you can turn that on or off here. So that's it for our chart settings. Here we have full screen mode. You can see that took away all of my control panels. This is useful mostly for monitor charts. So sometimes I might, when I'm day trading or I want to keep tabs on an important market development, I might have a chart on a monitor in my office that's set to full screen like this, and it just shows price action without any of the clutter on my chart. But if I hit escape, that will take me out of that mode. Next, we have snapshot. So this will take a chart snapshot. You can either download the image, copy the image, or copy the link. You can tweet the image if you want to tell the whole world what you think about a market, if you think anyone cares. Or you can click open in a new tab, and this will show a snapshot of my chart. There we go. And I can share this image, I can save it. This is great for journaling. So when you're a beginner trader or even just an experienced trader, you should be keeping a regular journal. Sometimes having visual imagery to accompany that journal can help. So this is a quick and easy way to take a snapshot of your analysis. Let's say we drew this line and we were expecting this breakout and a retest before it happened. Let's say price happened here, and let's say price is here, and we're expecting a retest of this trend line and continuation. We might want to take a snapshot of this with some text analysis, expecting retest plus continuation. Now I can take a snapshot, save this for future reference, and I can analyze my price, my trading, and see how I'm doing over time if I wanted to. And then finally, the final button on this top bar, we've only just gotten to the end of this top bar. This video is already quite long. We have a fair amount more to go, but we're well past halfway of the main features of TradingView. A lot of these other features are optional, and the drawing tools are all pretty self-explanatory. But let's finish this top bar, at least, by going over the publish options. So here you can publish an idea. So this will publish your chart along with a description. So if you haven't noticed by now from my offhand remarks, I'm not a fan of sharing analysis with the world. I don't think it matters. I don't care what traders think about my trading. I don't care what other traders are doing. I just care about my system. What's my system doing? How is my system performing? And I don't really care what other people's systems are doing. I don't trade their system. I don't understand the systems. I don't care about their analysis. So I don't ever look at ideas on TradingView. It's just not something that I care about. I have published ideas in the past, especially when I was a beginner trader. Again, that's kind of the cycle. A lot of beginner traders get wrapped up in this stuff. And when I started to see success as a trader in the beginning stages, I used to share some of my ideas, but I don't do that anymore. I just don't care. I don't have time for it. I don't think it serves the trading community very much to share speculation. My hypothesis on where price might go is just, it's not helpful, I don't think, to most people. Now, if you have a following, if you have a signal service and you're sharing your trading ideas with traders, then obviously maybe this is useful for you. But for me, I don't use that. You can record video ideas, which is just another way of wasting people's time, in my opinion, unless you're sharing education. I could share this video. I could record this video and share this on TradingView. I don't know what the video limit, the length limit is, but yeah, that's an example of useful content. If you're sharing ideas to help traders learn, then yeah, of course, that's great. But if you're sharing ideas to let the world know what you're up to with your trading, who cares? You can stream live. It's kind of like financial Twitch, I guess. I've never done that or never really watched anything. But again, if it's a webinar, if it's an educational thing, it could be valuable. If you're just sharing where you think Aussie dollar is going to be at the end of today, then okay, whatever. I don't care. And I don't see why anyone else would or should. And then here you can write public notes about your favorite symbols. Again, not something I care for, but these options are here for you if you do want to share your opinion with the world. TradingView is a massively social platform, social trading platform. It really leans into the social aspect of trading, which can be great. I'm not taking away from that. It can be great to have a community to learn from, to share ideas with. But if you're looking for trading ideas, if you're looking for someone to tell you what to buy or sell, stay away from this stuff, please. It's just not helpful to you as a trader in the long term. Unless you're learning, unless you're following educational content, people that you trust and respect, sharing their opinions and their process. If they're sharing the process, the process behind how they came to their ideas, that's valuable. If they're just sharing their ideas and they're saying, buy Aussie dollar because it's going to go up, that's not helpful. Anyway, that's it for the top bar. We've covered everything. These are the major settings for TradingView. Everything important is at the top for a reason. It's easy to get to, easy to find, easy to access and memorize. Now let's move on to, let's start with the drawing tools because that's easy. We'll get that out of the way and then we'll go over to the right side where we have a few more social aspects and a bit more complex and advanced TradingView features. And then we'll finish with the bottom bar. So drawing tools are very self-explanatory. We have a lot to choose from. Here we have our line tools. The most common ones have hotkeys. So the ones I use the most are Alt-H or Command-H, Alt-V or Command-V. You also have Alt-T, which will allow you to draw a line. They're the main ones. I don't use many others, to be honest. In fact, the only ones I really use is Alt-V and Alt-H. I'm a very horizontal trader. I'm not a big fan of trend lines in my trading personally. There are valuable applications of them, but personally I stick to support and resistance, and I do use a vertical tool to mark dates and times quite frequently. Next up, we have the Fibonacci retracement tool, something I don't use a lot in my trading. I have in the past for advanced pattern recognition. There is value in the Fibonacci tool. A lot of traders give the Fibonacci tool, they sort of write it off as voodoo. Maybe some applications of the Fibonacci tool are voodoo, but there are some systems, some patterns that this tool can detect that have an edge over the markets, and I've used them in the past profitably. Maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe the only reason the Fibonacci tool works is because a lot of traders are looking at it, but that's good enough reason for me. If it makes me money consistently, then I am not going to discriminate against it. I'm not going to shy away from including it in my toolbox if it's something I understand and know how to use. But the Fibonacci tools are quite advanced tools, so I won't go over these. If you don't know how to use them, just don't use them. They take quite a while to learn how to use properly, so stay away from these if you're not familiar with them. Here are the advanced pattern tools. Same deal. Stay away from these unless you know how to use them. This can be a trap. Some of these advanced patterns can sort of lead you down a rabbit hole that is not profitable or helpful, so be aware of these tools, but they're here if you know how to use them and you're an experienced trader. Then we have our profit and loss tools, and some other tools here I've literally never used. Many of these tools I've never used. Forecast or bars, patterns, ghost feed. I don't even know what ghost feed is. I don't use any of these. I do use long and short positions sometimes, so if I were to go long on this trade, I would place a tool here and I would set this to my actual stop loss and my actual target, because it's a very easy way to visualize how my trade is playing out. And if you have a lot of markets on your chart, if I go to Forex, and here is a list, we'll get to this in a moment, but once we're finished with drawing tools, but here is a list of currencies. I can cycle through these, and at a glance, I can see if I have an open trade on a symbol, for example. You get the idea. So long and short tool is quite useful, especially in the beginning days as a trader. These other tools I've never really used. Next, we have brush tools. So we have highlighter. I've never used that either. Or the brush tool. It's come a long way. It used to be very janky, this tool. Those of you who've used TradingView for a while, you're probably not watching this video if you've used TradingView for a while, but this tool used to look terrible when you used it. It used to sort of snap to the bar on your chart, and it looked horrible. So that's come a long way. So you can actually draw, you can highlight something happened here. This is like a whiteboard tool. Next up, we have a text tool. This is quite useful. We have all different types of text tools here. So we can have a comment, which puts a label behind what we write. So that makes it easy to spot certain labels. This is useful in the beginning of your trading if you want to track certain things in price action that you're learning. Personally, I never really use these labels. But I did a lot in the beginning when I was learning how to trade. I definitely did use these tools. Mostly I just use the text tool. This is just a simple way to write whatever you want. You can change the colors, color scheme up here, background. Next up, this is a really important tool for a trader, emojis. If you really want to be a professional trader, you need to learn how to put the right emojis on your chart. You can't call yourself a professional trader until you have mastered the art of emoji analysis. Of course, I'm completely joking. That's probably the first time I've ever put an emoji on my chart, to be honest. So, yeah. But hey, it's 2024 as of recording this, and we live in a world where entire conversations can happen in emojis. So, of course, TradingView has to include that. Next, we have a measuring tool. This is very valuable. I use this all the time. This is used for analyzing movements in price. So for example, let's say I want to see how far prices move from this drop off down to this low. I can click that tool, or I can hold shift and click anywhere on this price chart. And now I can release shift and just move my mouse to see how far price has moved. So here we have a 2% drop from the high to the low, 137 pips over 119 bars from where I selected this to where I stopped. It shows the time, 3 days, 5 hours to get from A to B. It even shows the volume traded over that period. So a very useful tool, the measuring tool. That is something you will be using a lot as a trader. Next, we have the zoom in button. And let's say we want to see what happened during this consolidation. We can highlight this, and then my chart will zoom in to match that selection. So that's quite useful. And then we can click the zoom out button to go back to where we were. The magnet tool is for snapping, I believe. That's for, snaps, drawings placed near price bars to the closest open, high, low, close value. So now if I select trend line, you can see my mouse. It's probably hard for you to see, but if you look at my crosshair, that's actually snapping to the open, high, low, and close. So I can now hover my mouse near the high and hover my mouse near this high. And that has now connected the highs with the drawing tool. I have no idea what strong magnet does. Let's have a look. Okay, so strong magnet doesn't need your crosshair to be in close proximity to the bar in order to snap. Next, we have lock to drawing mode. So if you turn this on, when you draw a tool, you'll stay in drawing mode. So normally once you finish drawing a drawing object, you'll go back to the crosshair, and you can drag your chart around. If you leave this on, now, no matter how many times I click, it's staying in drawing mode. So that can be useful if you're doing a lot of analysis on a market. Then we have lock all drawing tools. So if I let's draw a trend line here and click lock all drawing tools. Now I cannot drag or edit this drawing tool. If I click on these points, nothing happens. So once you've completed your analysis, this can be a useful thing to turn on so that you don't accidentally drag your drawing tools around. If I turn that off and click on this line and move it, now it's movable. And then this button here is also useful for hiding your drawing tools. So if you have a lot of analysis on your chart, you have a lot of lines going on, and you need those lines. See, we've got support and resistance here, but let's say we have a lot going on our chart, a lot of different lines, and we just want to see naked price action. We just want to see what the chart looks like without anything on there, but we don't want to delete all our lines. We can just click that button. And then these last two options here, we have the bin. This just deletes objects. We can, or you can just hit the delete key on your keyboard when you select one. Then we have the sync chain icon here. If I split my chart here, let's split this into two charts. This is the same market on two different charts. Let's reset my views. So we have the exact same price chart here. Let's change this one to daily, and let's draw a trend line from this high down to this low again. You can see that that hasn't drawn anything on my daily chart here. But now if I turn this link on, drawings will now be synced to my different chart layouts. So now if I draw that trend line, you can see it's also drawing on the daily chart down here. So this is a really useful analysis tool for sharing your analysis across multiple time frames. So if I wanted to draw, let's identify on the daily chart, let's identify a key level of support and resistance. That's where price is right now. You can see that we've been tested as support and resistance multiple times, right where price is right now. So if I click that, this drawing tool, and I have this synced, so now we can watch how price unfolds down here. We can look for price action patterns for a buy trade. This would be a great zone between about here and basically where price is right now. Anywhere in this blue zone would be a great place to be looking for a buy trade in anticipation of a bounce out of this zone. But let's go back to single chart view, remove my drawings. And then finally, the last button down here is our favorites toolbar. So you can see this toolbar here has all of my favorites attached to it. If I turn that off, it goes away. And again, if I haven't mentioned that, you can favorite tools or pretty much anything in TradingView by clicking this little star icon. It's the same on indicators. It's the same on pretty much any tool. Time frames, it's this little star icon will favorite a tool and it will show up on your bar here if this is turned on. All right, we're nearly done. Let's go over the far right toolbar now, where some of our final most important tools are, such as our watch list. So this is where you will keep all of the markets that you want to analyze regularly. You can add them by right-clicking on your chart for whatever symbol you have loaded and come down to add to watch list. Or you can just click this button here and you can search for the symbol in the symbol list. You can cycle through these symbols by hitting space on your keyboard, and you can highlight them by right-clicking on the side here, and you can select the color. So if you need to pay attention to particular markets, let's say you have a list of potential bullish trades and potential short trades, you might want to label them green and red after you've completed your analysis, and then you can easily spot them. You can just click on the label to remove them. You can remove symbols by clicking on the X at the end here. You can add a section, which is helpful. I can rename this to Aussie currencies, for example, and I could move all my Aussie currencies under that section and show and hide that section. That's actually pretty useful when you have a long list like this. You can add text notes to these symbols and they'll pop up down here. So I could say Aussie, Swiss, blah, blah, click add. And now I have a note next to the symbol. If I click on that note, it'll pop up down here and I can add multiple notes or delete them. Next up, we have advanced view. I've never used this view, but it's here if you need it. You can compare the symbols at a glance. If you had stocks on this list, you could see their financials by clicking financials, and here are their common financials. You change everything to USD. So I could change all of these values to see what their USD value is. You can export the list so that you can share it or back it up, and you can group your list here. And you can also share your list, so I can copy this link and share it to a friend or whatever if I had a list worth sharing. And I can even add a description here, so I can say FX Oanda broker list, save, and there we go. Let's get out of advanced view. If you click on the ellipses here, we have some options. We can again share the list. We can make a duplicate of the list if we wanted to make a copy to modify slightly. We can rename it. We can clear the entire list, add a section. Table view. If I turn it off, it includes the symbol description. Here we have some options as well. So if I bring this out a bit, I can turn off the last value. I can turn off its change and change percentage. And now we just have the list. I'll probably leave last value on and probably change percent on. And this change percent, I believe, is on the daily time frame. So it's a change from yesterday. Symbol display, you can turn the logo on or off, and you can change between the ticker symbol or the description of the symbol. And that's it for the watch list. Let's move down to alerts. So here we have our list of alerts. As you can see, I have quite a few here. I have some that go to our community Discord that keep traders up to date with the major currencies and cryptocurrencies and indices. I have some automated trading alerts for my ultimate pullback indicator. The ultimate pullback indicator is a script I made for auto trading the currency markets primarily. I traded on the hourly time frame, mostly on some of the major pairs. And every time one of these signals is detected, my alert fires and sends a automated command to PineConnector to open a trade in the direction of whatever the script has detected. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, you can check out my PineConnector guide on my channel, where I explain how to set this up. And you can find the ultimate pullback indicator script on my website at pinescriptmastery.com or theartoftrading.com. Both will take you there. So here's our alert list and our alert log, which includes all the information of currently set alerts and alerts that have fired. There are multiple ways to create alerts. We can click this button here, we can click this plus button here, or we can right click the chart and click add alert. And if I click on this drop down box, we have some global settings. So we can stop all of my alerts, remove all my alerts. I can show only active or inactive alerts, and I can filter alerts based on symbol, time frame, and customize the list here. I leave all my settings here as the default settings. And that's it. If I wanted to remove an individual alert, I could just click on the remove button here. I could pause alerts, and I can edit the alert settings. Once you've added an alert, you cannot change the parameters of the indicator you set it on. So for example, with my UPI, I have a ton of settings here for this script. Whatever I set up here, once I set my alert, these settings are locked in. If I want to change them on the alert, I need to remove the alert and add a brand new alert with the new settings set in this settings window here. But if I wanted to change the condition for the alert or the notification information, say I don't want it to notify me on my phone app anymore, I can turn that off and click save. That will adjust the alert settings. All right, so one last thing I want to go over before we move on when it comes to alerts is our various conditions we have to work with here. I've already gone over the notifications, so depending on what you select here will dictate how the alert fires. So you can have it on your phone, you can have it pop up on your chart, etc. When it comes to the settings of the alert, we have a few options here. So if you leave it as the market you have added to your chart, then all of these conditions are based on your price value. So if I set this to crossing up and I set this price to 655, now this alert will only trigger if price is crossing above this number. However, let's add a different indicator on here. Let's add on my breakout indicator. So this indicator requires me to select a long breakout price. So let's put that above this swing high here. And a short breakout price, let's put that below this low. So now I have a green line and a red line on my chart. I'll need to close my alert box and open it again. And if I come down to my condition, I now have a couple of extra options. I have my EMA indicator, that's this indicator here. I can remove that, I'm not using that anymore. If I select my BKOI indicator, my breakout indicator, you can see I have a custom alert here. Now this alert is triggered by the code of this script. So if I scroll down here in the code, you can see alert condition is fired if long alert or short alert is true, these conditions here. Again, if you want to learn how to make your own scripts, your own indicators for TradingView, go and check out my website, pinescriptmastery.com. But we don't need to understand the code for today's guide in order to set an alert with this indicator. All we need to do is select breakout alert. Now this will trigger an alert if price interacts with this green line or this red line. If price stays where it is in between, nothing will happen. Now, depending on what trigger condition I select here will dictate how the alert fires. If I select only once, then as soon as price touches the green line or the red line, an alert will trigger, and it will never trigger again until I reset the alert up here. If I select once per bar, that exact same behavior will occur, except that once a new bar begins, the alert will automatically reset. So every time this condition is met on a new bar, an alert will trigger. If I select once per bar close, then the alert will only trigger at the close of a bar. So in trading, we can quite frequently see situations like this. If we were looking to buy a breakout of this high, these highs here, at some point this big red candle here would have been a big green candle, and it would have looked like price was breaking out and we were about to go to the moon. But then by the end of this candle session, traders pushed this price all the way down and it closed down here at the lower body. So what we would normally do as traders with most systems and most indicators is we wait for the candle to close before we act on the indicator condition. So in that case, when we're setting up our alert, we would want to select once per bar close. And that way, this alert would only have fired if price had closed above our highs, if we'd set an alert condition. And then finally, we have once per minute. This will trigger the alert every time the condition is met, but not more than one time per minute. Now, there are different reasons you'd want to use these various options, but once per bar close should be the default for the majority of alerts that you set. And then we also have expiration. Depending on your TradingView plan, you may not have access to this open-ended alert option. This just leaves the alert active indefinitely with no expiry. If I turn this off, I can select a date and time for the alert to expire or deactivate. But anyway, that's it for alerts. Let's move on to the object tree and data window. This isn't something I really use very often, but this is helpful for developers, TradingView scripters, people who write PineScript code. It just displays all of the objects added to your chart and the tree, the order they're in, what objects belong to which indicator, etc. Next up, we have hot lists. I have never used this. This just shows the hottest markets, in particular watch lists. I'll just leave it as the default settings for right now. We've got US exchanges. We've got the most amount of volume traded across all US exchange traded stocks. We have percentage gainers and percentage losers. They're the three main ones on this hot list. So the most liquid markets, the biggest gainers and the biggest losers on US exchanges. You can change the watch list here by selecting here. So if I wanted to see the Aussie version here, I could see let's have a look at the largest gap gainers on the Aussie market. Click on that market, and here you can see that we had a gap up, and then it's gained quite a lot since then. A useful day trading metric and for our discretionary traders here. Next, we have the calendar. So this shows the global economic calendar for the top 20 economies. So today, in a couple of hours, or in exactly 1 hour from now, we have the RBA interest rate decision. And then at 1 a.m. tomorrow, my time, we have some Canada data, some Canadian data. Tomorrow morning, or the next day, actually, the February 8th, we have inflation data from China, and so on. You can stay in the loop with the global economic calendar here. This is very useful for Forex traders in particular, but obviously some of these sort of releases can affect stock markets and commodities as well. And then down here, we have the earnings calendar. So I guess this is for all markets on TradingView. Oh no, the US. Okay, so you can select the country. So if I click entire world and apply, now we have the earnings calendar for every country's exchange. Every market that's listed on TradingView, their earnings calendar will show up. So for February 6th, today, this is the list of markets or stocks that have earnings announcements today. It's quite a few of them actually. If I click on this world icon, I can change it to the country that I want, or I can select multiple countries. Next up, we have the ideas list. This is my ideas. These are from years ago. This is from 2018, so quite a while ago. 15-minute chart analysis, probably out of date by now. Whatever happened on December 7th, 2018 on a 15-minute chart is long out of date today and not very useful information. But I can't delete old ideas. Once an idea is published, it's up forever. So yeah, we've got a whole bunch of junk on TradingView from years and years ago. And I guess this only shows my ideas. I can't find a way to display other people's ideas, but I wouldn't want to anyway. As I've mentioned, I don't follow other people's analysis on financial markets. It does not have any bearing on how I trade. Next up, we have chat. So you can actually chat with people on TradingView like any messaging platform. This is the public chat. So this is just the public TradingView chat where TradingView people post questions about PineScript. And there's all different types of categories here, different talks going on. So if you're a really social driven trader, you can jump into the chat box here and have a talk with fellow traders. Personally, as you would know by now, I've never used this. I don't use this. I have had private chats in the past with people regarding my scripts or students. Now we handle all of our support via email because it's just too hard to keep track of everything on TradingView here. But yeah, TradingView is a social trading platform. So if you're into that side of things, this is where you go to meet other traders and see what people are talking about. Then we have the idea stream. This is where people's public ideas are posted. Again, look, let's click on the first thing that pops up here. And here we go. Some pretty useless analysis. I mean, I'm not picking on these people. I mean, everything on this list will be useless. Even if I posted it, it would be useless. Because as I said, you don't know how I trade. You don't know what matters to me. Even if I explained everything going on in my head, it's not very helpful to you because everyone's different. Everyone has different investment goals, different risk tolerance, different time horizons, different expectations out of the markets, different beliefs about the markets, different access to different markets, different time frame preferences, different amounts of time to trade. If I post a 5-minute chart idea, you might not have time to trade that. If I post a daily chart idea, you might not care to trade the daily chart because you trade a 5-minute time frame. You get the idea. I stay away from this, but if you're a new trader, this could be a useful way to just learn about markets and see what other traders do. That's probably its main advantage, is just to see what the masses are into. And a fun thing to do is see how often people are wrong, because 99% of these ideas are wrong because markets are unpredictable. And the way we make money as traders is not necessarily by being right all the time, but by making more money, more profit from our winning trades than we lose when we're wrong. That's the vast majority of winning traders' approach. And by definition, that means that their analysis is not particularly helpful because most of their trades, well, at least 50% in most cases, will lose. It's very rare to have a trader that has a greater than 60% win rate. If you believe otherwise, then there's not much I can do to help you. You'll figure that out in your own time. Moving on, we have streams. This is, I guess, live streams, Twitch streams. As you can see, I don't follow anything here, so I don't have much to say about that. There's probably some useful educational streams out there, but I don't know of any. So yeah, I can't help you guys with that side of things. And then finally, we have notifications. These are social notifications, and I don't have any at the moment because I'm not involved in any of that stuff at the moment. And that's it for our sidebar. The main thing you'll be using here is the alerts and the watch list, maybe the calendar, but you can get better calendars online from things like Forex Factory and stuff like that. So I tend to just use these two, the watch list and the alerts panel. Some of these buttons I haven't clicked on in years until doing this video right now. So yeah, you don't have to use everything on TradingView just because it's there, especially the social side of things. Let's move on to the bottom bar here. First, we have the stock screener. This deserves its entire own video, so I'm not going to go into detail here, but this is where you search for stocks based on various criteria. So we can look for the best 6-month performers. We're on the US market here. You could change the market if you wanted to. I'll leave it on the US for now. And it's going to show us the best gainers over a 6-month period. There's a whole bunch of different metrics here we can search through, and there's different categories, so we can see who has the most dividend payouts over a certain period of time, who has the best balance sheets, and so on. If you're a investor, this might be more your thing. If you're a trader, you're probably not looking at a lot of these fundamentals because you probably only care about price. If you're trading a short time window, a lot of this stuff is pretty irrelevant. But for investors, this can be quite useful for analyzing the value of a company. There are videos out there on the stock screener. Perhaps if there's enough demand for that, I'll take the time to record my own video on the stock screener. But for now, we'll skip over this because there's so much to cover. Just know that you can search for markets here. You can select the metrics you want to analyze, and you can select the different categories here. It's set to daily by default, but if you wanted to see intraday, how markets are performing, you'd click one of these intraday timeframes. And if you wanted to see longer term, like monthly, you could click 1 month, and all of these metrics will be based on the monthly time frame. Next up, we have the Pine Editor. This is my domain. This is where I spend a lot of my time on TradingView because I am a PineScript educational content creator, and I am a programmer and systematic trader. The vast majority of my trading is systematic rules-based systems that I write in code, and all my decisions are made in the strategy development process, and then the script tells me when to buy and when to sell. I like that approach. It works for me. It doesn't work for everyone. For me, I like it because I do all my hard work up front, and then the system tells me when to buy and sell. This morning, my trading took 5 minutes to place all my orders, and I'm done for the day with my trading, and I'm still making 30% plus per year on good years. Last year was a bit rough with some of the inflation stuff going on, but usually I make 20-30% minimum on my net worth each year, and 90% of that is from rules-based systematic trading, and PineScript is one of the tools I use to do that. PineScript is a fantastic tool. It's what my ultimate pullback indicator is written in. Not only can you create tools that help you analyze price information, for example, I could throw on a higher time frame EMA here, and now if I drop down to a 15-minute chart, we are looking at the daily 50 period moving average on the 15-minute chart. So that's why it's stepped. Each step represents 1 day, and that is that day's moving average. And that allows us to do things like analyze how price action behaves on a lower time frame around higher time frame technical factors. So great intraday trading opportunities here on a script like this. You can see on a daily time frame, you wouldn't know that price reacted on these moving averages until the end of the day when the trading opportunity is long gone. So TradingView is fantastic for analyzing price information. It's great for both discretionary traders and systematic traders. This is an example of a tool that a discretionary trader might use, but you could also make rules about this sort of system, a higher time frame moving average. And if I open up the source code to the script, you can see there's not a lot of code here. If you're new to coding, this will be overwhelming and a bit hard to understand, but believe me, it's very simple. PineScript is one of the most simple scripting languages on the planet, especially for traders. Most charting platforms have very convoluted scripting languages. PineScript is really simple to use. And I have a ton of content on my channel about PineScript if you're interested in making your own scripts. Believe me, even if you've never written a line of code in your life, PineScript is a fantastic place to start. It's really easy to learn. It's really simple and very, very powerful. Eventually, you can even create strategy scripts that automatically backtest through the TradingView backtester system, which is our next tab. So here you can see how my ultimate pullback indicator performed on this random stock. I don't know. This is just a random sample. We've got 141 trades. We did make a lot of profit because we're only trading one contract. If I change this to percentage of equity and invest 100% of my account into each trade, now we have some more meaningful metrics. A 26% return on this market with an 11% drawdown, 141 trades, about 49% of trades closed for a profit. Our average trade was $18 and our average number of bars we were involved in a trade is 7 bars. Then we can go to And here on the performance summary tab, we have all of our key metrics for the system, like its Sharpe ratio. And now if you're not an experienced trader, you won't know what any of this means, and that's fine. You will learn this over time. You don't need to know all this straight away to get started as a trader. It's a bit overwhelming to learn everything at once. But for those of you who are experienced, this strategy tester can give you some very key metrics, some important metrics about a potential system that you might want to trade. And this is all done very quickly through the strategy tester. Now, the strategy tester is a single market only backtesting system. So it does have some major limitations in that sense. On my channel, I am starting to branch out into other backtesting software such as Realtest, which can do portfolio-based stock market testing. So we can test thousands of stocks simultaneously. With TradingView, we can only trade one market or test one market at a time. So that's a big problem when it comes to portfolio-based systems. But for single market systems like currencies, crypto, Forex, certain commodities, market indices like the S&P 500, ETFs, that sort of thing, it's perfectly fine. And there are ways around the single market thing. You can export your test data into Excel and merge data together. It's a little bit tricky to do, but it's not rocket science. Once you're experienced at this stuff, you can find templates out there to do that. I have a template on my channel somewhere actually on how to do that, how to merge backtesting data into one test through Excel and analyze this information that way. But again, that's outside the scope of today's video. Finally, we have our list of trades. This is each trade that the system took, where it bought it, what time, how many contracts or position sizes, units, shares, whatever. This is relevant to whatever market you have loaded, the profit, loss, drawdown, etc. Then we have the properties of the system. This just explains what settings we were using when we tested the script. But yeah, I cover a lot of this stuff in the mastery course, the PineScript mastery course, and for free on my YouTube channel. So if this interests you, make sure to go and check out my other videos, especially the PineScript Basics course. I do have a free course on my website and a 2-hour-long video on YouTube where I teach you guys the basics of PineScript, the fundamentals, to get you started writing your own scripts and eventually your own strategy scripts to run it through the backtester here. Obviously, a huge advantage as a trader. In fact, I would go so far as to say anyone who doesn't backtest is basically gambling. Doesn't mean you can't make money, but it does mean that you don't know what to expect out of your system. So that's akin to gambling. If you're a serious trader, you should learn how to backtest. Obviously, there are limitations to backtesting. Past performance is not indicative of future performance and all of those disclaimers. But seeing how a system performed over the past 1,000 trades gives you a pretty solid idea of whether or not it's going to be profitable on the next 100 trades. So I do recommend learning how to backtest if you're a serious trader. This setting here is new. This allows you to backtest more data than is available on your chart. TradingView does have a limitation to how many intraday bars can be loaded. In particular, the daily and weekly timeframes aren't a big deal, but on these lower timeframes, there is a limitation to how many bars you can load onto your chart. So I'd recommend turning that on if you have access to it. Finally, we have the trading panel. This is where you log into your broker and place and manage your trades. You can also use paper trading if you want to simulate your trading with fake money on real price data. Using TradingView, you can log into the TradingView paper trading system. Here I have a $10,800 account and I can now place, if I go to a market that's open, that's actively trading, I can buy. Let's buy this at market with a 14 pip stop loss buy. There we go. We are now involved in a demo trade, that quick, that easy, with a stop loss, and I can drag a take profit up here, and now we have our mock trade entered, and I can bring my stop loss down below this low, bring this up to the high, and we can see how that played out over the day. On a 15-minute time frame, this would be classed as a day trade, and that's one way we can simulate our trading using the inbuilt TradingView paper trading. All right, so before we move on, let's just go over the trading tab in a little more detail. So here I am on a paper trading account. This is simulating trading. This is fake money, but I do have a real account with a few brokers. Oanda and Pepperstone are my two main brokers I use for Forex trading. I'm not logged into them at the moment because I want to show you guys how to manage positions that are open. So this isn't a trading lesson. I'm not going to go into detail about all of these different tabs. These are things you'll learn through experience and through studying trading in general. Hopefully you have a trading mentor or a coach that can show you the ropes. But here we have our pending orders. Here we have our trade history, account history, and our trading journal. So trading journal just lists all of the activities we've done, order modifications, that sort of thing. Now this is a paper trading setting. We can include commission here. I would recommend leaving this on if you are simulating your trading because commission drag is a very real factor, especially on lower time frames. So always include commission in your backtesting and in your demo trading because it will impact your profitability. You might need to change this depending on what broker you plan on using, but this is my paper trading commission settings. So I will be paying 1% of my position size as a commission. So if we go over to positions here, if I click on this trade here, it will take me to the chart where my trade is open. Now I placed this trade on Tuesday when I was recording the initial parts of this guide. It's now Thursday and this trade is actually playing out profitably. You can see that our take profit here was nearly hit, but not quite. And so we still have an open position here. Now this simulates what it would be like to have a real trade open. So we can actually play around and learn the controls here without risking any money. So now I can modify my order. This is my take profit. I don't recommend moving this in live trading. That's a rookie error many traders make. Is they see that, oh, this trade's moving in my favor. I'm going to extend my take profit all the way up here. And then of course price hits where their take profit would have been and then comes down and stops them out. Stick to your trading rules. Make sure you have trading rules as a beginner trader. Seek out good mentorship, good coaching. Make sure you have a system that you trust and believe in and a trading plan that suits your personality, and then stick to it. Don't mess with it. But if you make an error or your trading plan calls for you to move your take profit, you can drag this here, or you can just click on it and adjust the numbers here. So it's a little bit more accurate than dragging this around. Same with the stop loss. You can drag this around if you want to. Again, do not move your stop loss. Leave it where you set it according to your trading plan at all times. Never, ever move your stop loss away from price and extend your risk. That goes against everything that profitable traders do and stand for. The whole philosophy of trading is making more money than you lose. That's how most trading systems work. You can be profitable by having a very high win rate and an inverse risk reward profile, so less profit than you risk, but that's a hard system to trade. Anyway, if you click this button, you can reverse your position. That's an advanced trading style. I wouldn't recommend doing that. That will turn my position from a long trade into a short trade. Typically, you probably don't want to do this unless you're very experienced at trading. Prices very rarely reverse direction completely. So once you have a winning trade, you might want to take a break from trading that market to see what happens next before you place your next trade. And that's pretty much it. It's a pretty self-explanatory interface. You can access these tools down here. If I click this edit button, I can edit my take profit and stop loss. I can close my trade here by clicking on this button. I can partially close a position. So I have 1,000 units open here. If I wanted to take partial profit, let's say I wanted to take off half my position here. So I want to take half my profit. I can type in half of my position size, click partially close, and now I've taken some profit on this mock trade. And that's a great trading style as well, because now psychologically we've taken some money off the table. We can now bring our stop loss up to break even, and we can let this trade run. I can either remove my take profit or move it all the way up here. And we know that we've already made half of our risk on this trade roughly. And so that skews our risk reward profile. Now we're no longer risking our full amount of risk on this trade. Our stop loss is at break even. We've extended our take profit. We've taken money off the table, and we can just let this trade run. Now that isn't always a profitable system or approach to trading, but it can work with some systems. So just something to keep in mind for you beginner traders out there. You don't have to close your trade out completely. You can scale out of positions, and there are some advanced, sophisticated ways to make money as a trader, which you'll learn over time from either myself or other trading coaches and mentors out there. If you follow my channel, you'll learn a lot about my techniques for trading. I'm a very simple trader, very simple rules-based systems. I don't try to reinvent the wheel. I just do what works for me and what has worked for my trading mentors, the people I've learned to trade from, the veteran traders that I follow. One last thing, you can click this button to open the trade order panel. This is where you can select a short trade or buy trade. It will tell you the spread here. So that's what you're paying to open your position in terms of spread. So the difference between where price currently is and where your order will be filled. This is in pips on a Forex market. So if I were to buy right now, I would pay 1.6 spread, 1.6 pips spread, which means that my buy order would be placed 1.6 pips in the against me. So up here, my order would be filled slightly at a worse price than where price currently is. That's how brokers tend to make their money, and that is a hidden cost in trading that can make trading lower time frames incredibly difficult. So for you scalpers out there, if you do want to trade lower time frames, you are going to need to find a fantastic broker with very tight spreads in order to make that profitable. Generally speaking, it's a lot easier to trade the higher time frames for all kinds of reasons. But anyway, that's outside the scope of today's video. Here you have your order types. So limit order means if I'm going to buy, a limit order would be placing a buy limit order down here, and I'm waiting for price to fall to trigger that trade. A stop limit is the opposite. So if I were to place a buy stop limit above price here, now I'm waiting for price to come up and exceed that before I'm filled on my trade. It's important not to get these mixed up, because if you place a limit order above price, it will be filled immediately, because that's the nature of a limit order. A limit order means get me this price or better. And if price is below here, that counts as better. And so you will be filled immediately. I've made that mistake plenty of times early on in my career. So make sure you get your order types right. Stop order doesn't necessarily mean stop loss. It can mean buy stop, which as I mentioned means buy when price rises and exceeds. So will be filled at this price only if price exceeds it. So that is handy for trading breakouts. And the market order will place a order immediately. So if I close this trade and I click buy at market right now, will be filled immediately, minus the spread. You can see that I've actually been filled a few pips above where price is. That is the spread that I just paid. And my trade immediately opens at a loss. That's normal. That happens in trading. And the larger the position size, the worse that will be, generally speaking. But anyway, you get the idea. That's it. You can place your stop loss and take profit here as well and adjust your position size. I recommend basing your risk on a percentage of your account balance. That's what percent risk will do. So let's go to a slightly higher time frame. Let's go out to a daily chart. Let's say I'm expecting this double bottom to hold and price to bounce from here. So I would want to place a long position where price currently is, put my stop loss below these lows. This is purely for example purposes. Ideally, you'd want to use something like an ATR indicator or some sort of tool to objectively define how far you place your stop loss below this low, but that's stuff you will learn from a trading mentor. And now I can even right click this tool and say create limit order, and that will fill out this order tool here with my take profit and my stop loss price and my entry price all filled out right here. And now I can say risk 1% of my account balance on that trade, and it will automatically adjust my position size, my units, so that if my trade were to be filled right now and price were to come all the way down and stop me out, I would only lose 1% of my account balance, which means I would need to lose well over 100 trades in a row in order to blow my account. This alone will not keep you from being an unprofitable trader, but it will make a significant improvement to your bottom line and will really help you avoid blowing up. So a good rule of thumb is when you're beginning as a trader, keep your risk as 1% or less, and then you know you can survive almost any losing streak no matter how bad it gets. Within reason, obviously, but at least it will buy you time so that you know if something's going wrong and your system is not performing as expected, then you'll catch that early before you blow your account. Whereas if I were to risk 10% on my trade, now I can only lose a couple of trades in a row before I'm going to halve my account balance, and that's going to have all kinds of psychological damage and going to disrupt my ability to trade optimally. Anyway, that'll do for now. My neighbor has just started mowing his lawn. It's like they wait until I'm recording before they start mowing their lawn. It happens all the time. But that'll do for the trading part of today's guide. There's a couple of things I wanted to go over really quickly just before we wrap it up. The first thing is if we go to the home page, I ignore the vast majority of this stuff, but there is one thing I want to bring to your attention, and that is the community scripts. So if I click on this tab here, here is a list of all these scripts made by the community. And you can select strategies, libraries, indicators. Libraries are more for scripters. If you're just trading, you'd want to stick to indicators and strategies. Strategies can be run through the backtesting system. Indicators are just tools for helping you analyze price. They don't actually place any pretend trades through the tester. But this is the place where you'll find really cool, really valuable scripts and tools made by the community. There's also a lot of junk out here, as I mentioned, so be careful what you add to your chart. Make sure it adds value to your trading. Don't just add it because it looks really cool. This looks pretty cool actually, but I don't know what it does, so I'm not going to add it to my chart just because it looks cool. But a lot of traders do that sort of thing, so be careful of that. If you want to see my scripts, you can go to my website, theartoftrading.com. And if you go to TradingView scripts, you will find all of my published scripts here, all my public scripts that I've published to the TradingView platform. There's a bunch of useful basic tools here. Some not so basic, some are a little more advanced, and some are just tools to help traders navigate financial markets. The last two things I want to mention is that I have quite a large library of free content that I've made over the past several years as a trader, just sharing things that have worked for me, things that I've found valuable in my own trading. I do have some paid courses, but the vast majority of my content is free. So just go and check that out if you're interested. My style of trading might not resonate with you. You might not like what I do and how I trade, but if you're into systematic trading, rules-based trading, I think you'll find a lot of what I have to say helpful and valuable because it's helped me become a profitable trader over the past 6-7 years. It's helped me forge a career as a trader. And I'm really blessed and grateful to be where I am now. I love trading. I'm extremely passionate about it. That's why I do what I do. And I hope you are passionate as well. I hope this video helped you. If it did, make sure to like and subscribe, all of that stuff. And check out our courses too. Check out our free courses. I've got a free basics course here with 6 hours of content, 6 hours of free content, completely free, no strings attached, teaching you the basics of PineScript, from how to draw onto your chart, how to analyze price, how to navigate PineScript, basically. With all that said, I'll wrap this video up here. Thanks for watching. Best of luck with your trading career. If you're watching this video, then you're likely new to trading. If that's the case, I wish you all the best. Trading is an amazing, amazing skill. It takes a long time to learn. It can be frustrating at times. It can be incredibly difficult, but incredibly rewarding. So good luck on your journey. I'm glad to have been a small part of it. Have a fantastic day. And hopefully I'll speak with you in another video if you stick around the channel. My name is Matthew. It's been a pleasure to chat with you today, and goodbye.